Hello and welcome to episode number 6 of Import Tutorial. This episode is about CCActions. So CCActions allow us to apply actions to our CCNodes. So we get to be able to do things like movement, fading, and even rotation. So I'm going to go straight into this. I have made some changes to the class. So right after I'm in it, I draw the startup scene, and in our startup scene I'm literally just drawing the background now. So I've removed the labels. I do have our background as CC sprite within our interface declaration, in the test scene.h file, in the header file. So if I build this, I'm building it on the Mac just for testing, and there you go, you can see it's literally just the background. So let's get straight into this. I'm going to start off just by drawing a CC sprite. I'm going to draw the badge again. So literally just add this in, sprite with image named, and it is cp badge.png. Again, you should have this already. I'm going to add it into the background, so I'm going to position it badge.position equals ccp, and we're going to say background.content size.width divided by 2, and same again with the height. So it's going to be in the center of the screen. So if you remember about this last one of our episodes, we get the content size of the background and we get the width, so we'll basically go with the whole width and then divide that by 2, so it'll be drawn in the center. And same again with the height divided by 2. And remember, all the anchor points for CCNodes by default are in the center of the actual node. And of course then we're just going to add the background to add the badge to the background. So if I build this just real quickly, obviously we should just get the sprite in the center of the screen, right? So here we go, let's apply some action. So we're going to do it's always good to comment your code, so we'll just say action test. So set up node, and then we'll say create actions. So to create actions, you can declare as an ID just like this, which is just kind of a generic object type, and we'll say ID and then say it's a variable, so we'll say action equals, and we'll set up our action. So to do what we do, we have to figure out what we want to do first. So we're going to do a fade in effect to our node. So we'll do CC action, and you get tons of actions. There's absolutely tons. I'll link a lot of them in the thread for this episode, but you can see here there is a lot. So a lot of them start off with CC action, and we'll then do fade. A lot might come in, fade in, do action width, and you can see action with duration, and we'll say 2.0. So after 2 seconds this will fade in. So create the action and then run the action. So what we do is we have to actually run the action, so we say badge run action. You can just press tab, will automatically all fill in. So you can put in action. Okay, so what we're doing here is we create a variable called action, just like sprite. So you set up the class and you send the parameter, the method. So the class and the message, which is action with duration. So it's action fade in, duration with 2 seconds. So it's basically going to fade in after 2 seconds. And then we just run the action, so you say badge, and you send it then to run action, and then you pass in the action. So what should happen here is it will fade in, but we actually have to give an opacity. So we'll say it's always good to do your nodes for code above before you before you actually add it to the scene. So above that line, so we'll say opacity equals 0. So there should be no opacity, and then we fade it in. It should happen straight away. And there you go, there it was fading in. Another cool thing we can do with our actions is we can do a sequence. So a sequence lets us do, it's basically an array, and lets us give actions kind of in a sequence. We can create multiple actions and let them run one after another. So what we'll do is we will change this up. So we can do this like this. So we can declare it as well as making the action. We can also do this actually, before we do that, without having to declare that action file, we can copy and paste this here, and you can just actually run that within here itself. That's no longer used, and that's how you can create an action. So you can say badge run action, and then you can just do another bracket, and you can literally just place that code within itself, and there you go, that's the action there. So I hope that makes sense. So this is basically declaring it as a variable. So ID is just an object, so generic object type, so yeah, object action, that's the variable, or you can create it within here itself. So here, anyway, we go back to this now for the sequence. So we'll say badge run action. So I'm going to create the sequence within here. We could create it somewhere else. So we'll say run action CC action sequence. Literally type in action. It should come up, action Oh wait, how am I doing this? Actually, I'm not quite sure how I run the actions. I believe it's actions. There we go. I was getting confused there. So what should happen is, when you create the action sequence, just type in actions. It will actually put in your actions here, and it will give you the nil. So that's, you should always put this in as last. Let's make sure it's do the comma and then nil last, and just close off. So what we'll do is we'll press enter just so it looks a bit neater. Maybe press tab or something. So we'll say CC action delay, and again action. It's always action with duration and stuff. So we can say after 2 seconds. You can put in the F as well, just for flow to make clear. After 2 seconds, put in another comment, press down, and we'll say run the action, and then that's the comment. And what should happen is we shouldn't be getting any errors. I'm going to just build and see what's going on there. Why the fail? Okay, it's expecting the. Oh, we never closed it off because we put in the sequence here. So what happened there was we created the action, but because there was only one bracket, it never actually closed off this bracket here. So that was my error. So what should happen now is after 2 seconds, and there we go, and then it's faded, it's run the action. And of course you can change your delays here, so you can say, okay, I want a really quick fade of just 0.5 seconds, and I want it to fade in after just 1 second. There you go. So that, I hope that makes sense. So that's, we declare actions here. There are an absolute ton of actions. It's always good to create the action, especially if it's a big sequence. I wouldn't recommend doing all this here. It'd be always good to make the oops, dragging my code around. Make it first. So create your action. You just do CC action. Pick your action. So there's delay, there's erase, there's ease in. There's all these different ones. There's absolutely a ton. You can flip the X value to Y values. You can make a jump. You can jump to. You can repeat actions as well. You can copy actions if you want. So to copy the action, you can even do let's say action 2 equals action space copy. So that basically just makes a copy of the action. Another thing we can do is let's see if it happens. Yeah, so we can reverse it. So there we go, there's reverse. So let's see what happens here if we do this, right? So I'm going to do, just copy and paste this in, so into a sequence, make sure it has the comma again, and then we'll run action 2. Again, make sure it has the comma. So this should do fade in, after a delay, fade out. So there you go. So literally we got the action which was fade in, it reversed it, which will obviously be a fade out, and there you go. So we've literally just run a pretty cool sequence. I'm going to remove this here, so let's make this a bit more interesting. Everything we've been learning right now, like you do have the kind of skills to kind of start up making basic scenes for a computer game now. Like you can do this. You've got the logic. You understand how to call stuff. We know how to reference sprites. We know how to set it as a kind of class variable in here, or you can reference it by name, and you know how to call different methods. But I'm going to show you how to do something really cool. So I've created 2 images here in Photoshop. Well, I haven't created these. Sorry, I have found them, and I've created 2 files from it, which are a car base and a wheel. And what we're going to do is we're going to move that car across the screen, and we're also going to have the wheels rotate. So I'm going to put these in the thread as well. Be sure to download them. They will probably have different names, so when you download them, just give them the name car_base and car_wheel. So of course, just drag them into your project. Just put them underneath your resources. Make sure they go into every target. Again, I'm always building on Mac just because it's easier. I find it quicker to build on Mac, but you can obviously build it on iOS, or if you have an Android device plugged in developer mode, you can build it onto your Android device. So I'm going to create the car, so we're going to add in 2 new sprites into our class. I'm going to say CC sprite, and we'll say car base, and CC sprite, we'll just call it wheel 01, and we're going to copy and paste that because there's 2 wheels, it's in 2D. Make it look a bit neater. So there we go. So now it's in our code here. We're also going to set it in as a different method. So we'll say void draw underscore car. Small d. It's always good for methods to have a small capital R, or a small letter to start off its method name. So because we've declared our sprites, just like in the background, we've declared it in the header file, we can reference it anywhere. So we're going to set up our car. So car base equals, oops, cc. I'm getting excited here. I must think I'm making a lot of mistakes here in my typing. So cc sprite with image named, I believe it was car underscore base.png. So whatever you've named your car file, that's what we'll call it. We'll say position, carbase.position equals ccp, and again we're going to add it to the background, so we're going to say background.content size .width. And again, if you were adding to the self, of course you just do the way the background is, so size.width. You get the size first of all, and then add it into the parameters here. So again, background content size height divided by 2, and we're going to add it to the background. So background add child. We'll give it a Z value. I was going to have Z value at 1. So I'm going to call it, after I made my background, I'm then going to draw the car. So just by performance selector, draw a car. We'll just give it 0 delay as well. So we should have our car base in. Now we're going to draw the wheel. So we'll say draw the base, draw the wheels. I'm just going to copy this, just rename it to wheel 01, and the wheel was named car underscore wheel. Then what we're going to do is we're going to set the anchor point, and the reason we're going to set the anchor point is going to be easier for us to position. So in Photoshop here I've had the example. So the wheel image size is 32 by 30, I think it's 38 actually, 38 by 38 pixels, which you can see here. Actually, I'm just going to show you how I did this. If I open up the, right, so here's the wheel here. So if you have Photoshop or any other image editing tool, you can open it up. And you can see the wheel literally just meets the edges of the image. So if we get the kind of selection tool and we drag across, you can see the width and the height is 38 pixels by 38 pixels. So what I done then was I added in, you can see I have the color here, I create a square with any color. I just copied, highlight that again, copied in Command C, and then Command V to paste it in. I'm just going to not close that, and I paste it in here behind it so we can get the position. And you can see I positioned it to the wheel. Same with the other wheel. And that will then allow us to, basically that's the sprite. Imagine in Cocos2D that is the sprite, but just that this part here is all transparent in the file because it's still a square image. It's just, it looks like a wheel because, you know, that part is transparent. So in order to position it, we're going to position it to the car. I believe the car is this size, so if not, hang on, what I'm going to do is open up the car image. So I'll show you how I did this. It's already there, as you can see. And all I did was I just wanted to position the wheel. So just layers, and if I select the 2 layers here, I can kind of move them around. And of course I'm going to undo that because that's where they're positioned, right? So I hope this makes sense. We're going to find out the position of this square. So let's say we're going to set the anchor point of 0 of the X value and 1 of the Y value, which means it will be the top left corner, so up here. So in your Photoshop image, go from the bottom left corner of the actual base of the car, scroll all the way up right to the edge of that, so it's 23 and 40. That's going to be where we position it because we're going to add the wheel as a child to the car, and that's where we're going to position it. So if we go into our project, we will then do our set the anchor point. So we have to do it in a method. So wheel set anchor point CCP, and we will say 0.0 and 1.0. So that should put it in the top left corner. Our wheel dot position equals, what did I say it was, 28 and something? 23 and 40. And now add that to the actual car base. So car base, add child, we'll give it a Z value of 1. So the Z value of 1 is actually going to be relative now to the car base. So the car got added to the background. So you can see the background here is that on the self, which is the scene, and it's a Z value of 1. The car then is added to the background, and that's a Z value of 1. That's relative to the background itself. So even if I said this is like, I don't know, 20, and then added in something in here that was a Z value of 2 to the self, that would still be higher because it's relative to the background. So the Z value of the wheel is now relative to the car base. So if we just build that, we should have a wheel in where we want it to go. Don't know why it looks a bit warped there, but we're going to add in our next one now. So what we can just do is draw the wheel, we can just copy it and paste it. Change to wheel 2. And of course we want to find out the position over here. So again, exact same, because the anchor point is 0 on the X value and 1 on the Y value. It's going to be top left corner, so 177, and of course obviously the Y value should be the exact same because you want it in this, it's obviously on the same level, so it should be, you can see there their level should be the same. So you're only changing the X value, which is 177. Build that, and there we go. So there is our wheels. We're going to probably move this down though. So how about we'll do a bit of maths maybe to add that wheel into the, or add the thing. So we'll say, undo this actually, we'll say car base dot content size. So it's going to go for the image here, it's going to go the whole height here, so it's 79. So if I say car base dot height, it's going to be near down the bottom, but about 79 pixels. That doesn't look too bad. That's okay. We want it down a bit low. We don't want it right in the center of the screen. So now we're going to run our actions. So apply action. I will say create actions first of all. So our first action we'll create is we'll say move car, and this is you can declare them like this as well. CC action. We'll say move by. So there's two different types. There's move to, which moves to an exact position, or we can say move by, which moves by a certain amount. So if you say move by 16, it will move by 16 across the screen. We'll say move by. Actually, we'll just create like this. Actually, just the old way for now for this one, or for the this way for now. So we'll say move by. Action with duration. Select the last one here, duration and the position. So we'll say duration. We'll say is 5.0, so 5 seconds. Actually, we'll just make it a bit quicker, so it's like 3 seconds. And we'll say CCP, and we'll move it by, because it's facing to the left, we'll say minus 400, and then 0. So we're not moving on the y-axis at all. And now, run the action. So we'll say car base, run action, move car. Let me start up our scene here. And yeah, so there is our car moving. Right, so that doesn't look too interesting right now. So let's say that we apply some rotation to actual wheels. So let's pick this off and we'll say car base, make it look a bit more interesting. And then down here we'll say, just put in the asterisk at the stars for breaking up the code. I always find this makes your code look a bit neater when you kind of break it up. So what you could do is do something like this. So just kind of, it's all encapsulated. So you know code in here, and you can see then it has car base, and you know then something like this even then. So then kind of you know, okay, right, there's the car base, and it's within that part. So next to the wheel logic, or the wheel actions. So we'll say ID, we'll say rotate wheel, say 01 equals CC action rotate. So we can say rotate by, so you can say rotate 2 again you can specify exact rotation, but we'll say rotate 2 with an angle, and we'll say 3.0, and the angle we'll say as, let's say 360, which is just one rotation it should be. And again, run the action. So wheel 01, run action, rotate wheel. So it's only going to do one spin here, so it's not going to look too cool. Whoa. Okay. Now that is actually my error. So I'm going to remove running the car. Why do you think that's happened? Because I've set the rotate or the anchor point in the top left corner, so therefore the action has been applied around the anchor point, so it's rotating around this angle, so it's going whoop, rather than if the anchor point was in the center, it would rotate the wheel itself. Okay, so we're going to have to actually change our position code, so we'll remove the anchor point. And again, so we're going to have to try to figure out where the center point is here, so we'll say, okay, so 42 and 22, so that both wheels are on the 22 axis, and that was 42. And again, I'm probably not going to get these exact bang on anymore now, and we'll say 196. But that is a great way for you to position your nodes within a class. As I said, remember, if you design in Photoshop first, you can set an anchor point and you can know exactly where you position it. And there you go. It's a bit off, I think. So that was our wheel rotating. So how about this then? Let's do, so that's the first wheel. How about we do the second wheel as well? We're going to remove this here, and in here we're going to say it's rotate wheel 1, copy. So whatever we apply here, if we make any changes, it will apply to the second wheel as well. 2, and just make sure you got 2. And how about we actually make a move this time and see what it looks like. I think his wheels are moving the wrong way, right? So we can just actually change the angle, so say minus 360. There you go, because it was going clockwise, now it's going. And there you go, so it looks kind of cool there. So what you can also do as well, so that's how we've just literally just added a car to the scene. How about we move the car across as well, so it's originally in the center, we'll move it at, let's say size that width, so it's going to spawn right at the very edge of the scene. And there you go, and it stopped there, so that was moved 400 across. So what you can also do is we can do some interesting maths as well here. So we can say, we can even say create as variables. So we'll say int move value equals, and we'll say background dot content size dot width plus the car base dot content size dot width. So that's going to move the full width of the background plus the width of the car, so it should technically move off screen. So we just say move value, and we'll do move value equals move value, or we'll do, sorry, excuse me, 0 minus move value, so that way it's a minus number. We can remove that and just say move value. And there you go, so it's moved the full way across the screen. So that might have seemed a bit complicated, it's not really, again. So we've just created an int value, so it's going to give us a number, and it's equal to the background.width. So imagine this here is our width, so it's over here. So it's going to move the full width across. Remember, the car is spawned over this edge of the window. So it's going to move the full width over here, but instead of stopping here, it's going to move also the width of the car, just so it's fully off screen, and then that's basically the end of the action. What we can also do is here, let's say we can come up here and we'll say float, and we'll say action dur for action duration, and we'll say, let's say just say 5 for now, and replace our action durations in here, so both of them will move and they'll both be consistent, so any changes we make will be applied to both. And you can see it looks a bit slow, and then we can even say something like, we'll move it down here and we'll say int rotate value equals, and we will say 0 minus, and we'll then say, how about we do some maths? So we do 360 times, and we can do the amount of spins, so we can say something like that then. And again, just put the rotate value in here and at the angle, so the 0 should give us a minus value, put it in. And we put in a few spins there. So what if I said times 5, which should be 5 rotations? Yeah, so you can see it's moving pretty fast. So basically the reason why it's doing that is it's applying that action within the same time limit as the movement. So that will run the exact same. So we could also, let's say, make it move a bit faster and see how that looks. And you can see, so it's still doing the 5 rotations, but it's doing it in a quicker speed. So it's doing it in 2 seconds. So that's why it looks like it's sped up. Right. Now, how about we try something interesting, and then this is going to be the last part of the exercise. I was going to give this as your homework, but I'm just going to show you how to do it, because all I want you to do is basically just recreate this. How about we make it move across the screen? We're then going to flip the x-axis of the car and make it move back. So we'll do something like, we'll create, because it's going to be a complex sequence, we'll create it as an action. So this is what I was saying about the sequences. So we'll say seq equals CCAction sequence, and again we should find the actions. I don't know why. Oh wait, why did it give us that? It should be a nil. There's the nil. Sorry. So we'll say move car. Give it another comment. Hang on, and we'll just end this off so we're not getting errors. Right. So let's say we moved the car over. Let's say, I don't know if this will work, but we'll do, I'm just going totally off the top of my head here. So say action flip X, action with, I don't know, do we need to even say action with duration? How do we do action with flip X? I don't know what that even does. I've never used flip X before, so we'll just say yes. And then we will do, what we'll do is we'll copy move car and we'll say reverse. So I'm just creating a new version of the car, and we're going to say car action. I'm going to say move car reverse. So again, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never really changed that to a comma again. So we should basically just get a warning saying, oh, it's already a comma there. Move the comma up here, makes it look near. Right, so if I build this, we basically just get one warning saying that it's unused. Okay, so let's add it in. Okay, I don't know what's going to happen. I've never actually used this flip X action before. Hey, but his wheels were all crazy because the wheels have stayed relative to position. But yeah, why don't you? That could even be your homework. Why don't you try fix that up? So what I'll do is I won't move it so far across. So we'll change the move value to. We'll just comment this out, and we'll literally just move it back to the move value equals 400. Remember, this line below will make it a minus value. And there you go. Obviously, the wheels have stopped spinning because the action for duration only runs for the first part of the sequence, I believe, or for the first part of the car, so it's this part here. So the wheels only run basically for that action, and then from this point, from the sequence onwards, they don't. So you could change this again. You could put this by, let's say, how about this, right? So we say, I'm showing you how to do all your stuff here. Say, why isn't it coming up? Action dur divided by 2. So basically, it's going to go left. I'll flip it because it does it instantly, and then go again. So then the wheels should keep spinning, but of course they'll obviously still have the same rotation, but let's just see it. There you go. So have a bit of fun with this. So now you know how to make actions. So of course we've combined a lot of stuff in here. So we've used our knowledge for declaring class sprites. We've also we've called it in the select. So of course we haven't put anything in the init scene. Remember, I always say keep the init scene as plain as possible. So of course we've drawn our startup scene. I literally have just drawn the background this time. And right after we've done the background, we draw the car, which again is a method which we also recently learned. And of course we've added in the car. I showed you how kind of designing with Photoshop works. Of course, even though the rotation worked because the anchor point was up here, up in the top left, but you saw how to design stuff in Photoshop by adding images as a child. We added the wheels as a child to the car, so if the car moves, the wheels move along with it in terms of X and Y position, which they did. And then all we did then was we rotated the wheels, and the wheels made the car look like it was driving. So that's a very simple action we've done, but we've combined all our knowledge that we've learned so far. So I hope you have fun with this episode, and of course, thank you very much for watching.